Hey everybody, Mike McWilliams, Upstairs to the Right Music channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to join in this evening. Whether you're watching this live right now or if you're going to watch this in the rerun, I want to let you know, as always, that I do appreciate you taking the time to do so. I hope everyone out there is fine this week. Ben, welcome. Hope you're doing well, sir. It's been a rough week. And I have to admit that sitting here is good therapy for me. As you know, the last program that I put out on my channel was a review of the, hey, welcome there, Dewey. Was a kind of a review, a little bit of an overview of my latest acquisition, the Fender Champ. As you know, I traded a few of my recording pedals for that amp, along with a Jensen C12N speaker that I had around. And I showed how to do an installation in that particular unit, Fender unit. It's very interesting because you know, I see a lot of videos on YouTube about that particular Fender Champ, the Fender Champ 40 I'm talking about, by the way. Phil, welcome. How you doing, sir? What's up to you too? There's been a lot of reviews of that. Ford is here. Mary Jane blowing in the air and whatnot. Hey, I live in Amsterdam. It is constantly blowing in the air whether you want it. I kid you not. I've heard that San Francisco is bad, but I think this place has got it beat. Trust me, you know, I can't even go down my front porch without a bunch of stoners. I tell them it's all right, man, but some mornings I'm just not feeling it. But tonight I can go for it for sure. So I'm with you, Ford, on that one. Good evening, Blues fan. Good evening. Yeah, there's been a lot of reviews on that amp, but not a lot, and a lot of guys who did the swaps on the speakers and showed how that was, but not a lot of people got into how to actually do one. So when you're doing YouTube content and you're reviewing something that's been out for 10 years, you really have to kind of look at it and say, hey, what can I bring fresh to the table and still keep it interesting to this conversation regarding this particular piece. And one of the interesting things about that amp, as I pointed out, and if you haven't checked out that video, please take the time to do so. It shows that on the negative contact, they use a mini plug. And that'll trip a lot of people up because almost every replacement speaker that you're going to get these days is going to have two regular size plugs on it, clips on it. And so I gave a couple of options of things that you could do to easily fix that. In my case, I used a small screwdriver to pry that mini plug open enough so that I could get it around the connector, reclamp it with a pair of pliers. And then in the end, actually, I didn't show it in the video, but I ended up doing a little solder touch on it anyway. That was after I had it in and I knew it wasn't going anywhere. So I put a little touch of solder on it as well just to finish that job up. And also the fact that they use this resin called Quick Lock around the bolts attaching the speaker to the cabinet. It's kind of a red looking epoxy. You'll see it in the video. And I've seen examples of that. I don't know why Fender, I know why Fender, they use it so that in transport, I keep saying I don't know why, but I know why. In transport, when they're shipping those from the factory to the distributor and then it's going out from there, I guess they were finding a lot of the screws weren't in place and that speaker was rattling loose. So they put this epoxy on all of those screws in order to keep them in place. In some cases, luckily in my case on that particular model, the epoxy was not very thick, so just a little bit of torque I was able to take those screws out. I have seen and heard of examples where it's super thick. I remember reading this one guy said he couldn't get it out, he ended up drilling or something he did. I was like, my God. That's why I covered that as well, because you don't have to do that. If you can't get it off, if it's really thick on there, you just take a soldering iron, heat it up, it'll loosen it up enough so that you can take a straight edge, cut it enough away from the bolt, and then be able to turn it. So that's why I did that. I can report to you happily that, you know, a lot of people with the Fender Champion 40, they'll say, or the 50, they'll say, well, that clean channel 1 sucks. And it's not as bad as people make it out to be. Again, you know, you know, if you put the amp on the floor and, you know, instead of sitting up on your table and in the right acoustic spot in your room, you may find out it's not as bad as you think it is. But I digress. But, you know, it's understandable because that speaker that comes with it, that Fender special design speaker, again, is an everyman speaker. It has to be able to cover a lot of ground with that kind of amp. So it's a neither here nor there kind of thing. And honestly speaking, because of that, when you make a speaker switch like I did to the Jensen, and because that channel 1 is based on a Fender black panel amp, it's a match made in heaven. That channel 1 now is my go-to channel for Fender clean, especially either through because you know you can listen to it through headphones. So when I'm practicing, and also of course in the course of that I can use pedals, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But through that Jensen speaker, it's going to take a little time to break in. Maybe one of these days we'll talk about speaker break-in and the myths and the truths and the myths regarding that. Things that people tell you to do that's really not a good idea. I might touch on that here in a minute, but I'll finish the thought of saying that that Jensen speaker and that channel 1 is just it's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tone. Yeah, on burning in your speakers, you'll see a lot of people talking about, well, a new speaker needs time to burn in, and it's true, it does. On average, after the 30th solid hour of playing, that's about as mature as that speaker is going to get, and the coil is going to get on that speaker. This is coming from the guy who designed the Jensen speakers himself, so I think he knows what he's talking about. And he pointed out that after 30 hours, you're good. However, he says a lot of people will tell you, well, you know, just hook it up to a radio or play some noises through it for 8 hours a day for a couple of days, and you'll hit that sweet spot. He said, don't do that. He said, your guitar, your rig, you want that speaker to that cone to respond to your style of playing, whether you're a heavy player or a light player or whatever. You want to work that naturally, so there's no shortcuts on breaking in a speaker. You just have to play it, which is encouraged, is what you're supposed to be doing anyway. You're supposed to be playing, so that shouldn't be a problem. At least an hour or two a day, if you can. And so that will take care of that. But I just thought I would touch upon that as a kind of side subject, because I see a lot of things and read a lot of things about burning speakers, and I'm like, no, you know, the guy Jensen Speaker says don't do that. Just play your guitar through it the way that you would play whatever pedals, whatever you're going to use through it, so that it can kind of get a memory, like memory foam, as you know, the stuff that's used for pillows. It adapts to you, and it's the same kind of concept there. But I liked it so much. And I'm moving away from doing production work. I can honestly say that my days of writing are drawing to a close. That chapter of my life is slowly drawing to a close. I'm keeping enough of a rig that if a commercial opportunity comes through to write something for a commercial, I can do it completely in the box. But recording albums and for myself, for Asanoki, I won't be doing that anymore. I'm in the car audio scene, and it seems like breaking a speaker in will vary from one manufacturer or another. Yeah, again, some are snake oil, some are trying to tell you what they really think based on their data and some of that. You know, my pastor used to say, you know, you can torture the data enough to confess to anything. And he was right. So there's a lot of that going out there. I'll go with the Jensen guy. Hey, Maddie, welcome, sir. So glad you were able to make it tonight. It's not a party without Mr. Two Hats. It is the Jensen, the guy who designed the speaker that I put into my Fender amp. He really broke it down and in a very simple way that breaking in really requires you doing it naturally. Patrick, Jean, LeBlack Hardy, good evening. Afternoon, morning, everyone. Good evening to you too, Patrick. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you. But I am so happy with the way that Fender amp sounds with that Jensen speaker in it. They're a match made in heaven. You know, back I said in the video, if you haven't had a chance, again, check it out. I was pointing out that video back in the 1950s. Leo Fender reached out to the Jensen company in Chicago and said, hey guys, I want to use your speakers in my amps. And it's just been a match made in heaven ever since. And who am I really to, you know, to break that hey, thank you. Yes, everybody hit that like button. Thank you so much. 14 people watching, 5 likes. Hit those likes, guys. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Patrick, for pointing that out. But who am I to try to ruin that formula? It's a successful formula. They sound good together. And so that left my pedal board. As you guys know, I had my recording pedal board. What's wrong with my tongue tonight? Maybe I need to. I have an extremely dry mouth tonight. And no, not Ford Hammy. It's not because of what you think. I was so impressed with the sound of that. It is such a beautiful amp. And it doesn't compete with the Laney. They're two completely different animals. And I'll do a video on that showing exactly what I mean by that. But by pairing the right amp with the right cabinet, with the right combo unit, you can really get the most out of it, and it's not a lot of money there. Again, the formula with manufacturer is more amp, less speaker. In the case of that Laney, and both of those amps are 10 years old now, by the way, in terms of production. And I can say in both of those cases, they gave you a lot of amp, but they both cheaped out in terms of the speaker. The HH speaker came with the Laney, which was, I hated that speaker. No amount of breaking in was gonna help that. And with, again, like the Fender, that's Fender Special one, but putting proper Jensen in the Fender and putting the greenback in the vintage greenback in the Laney, both of those one solid state, one is a tube amp, but they both shine and shine so much that I can retire. And because I'm not going to be doing that kind of recording anymore, like I said, the album thing is done. I think that album I have out right now is my last studio album. I'll talk about that at a later date, why that is, but it's okay. So that freed up my pedal board. So I decided to, yet again, for the 1000th time, change my pedal board. And this is what it looks like now, and it actually sits out there in front of the amps now. So this is my current pedal board lineup. I have, you guys know my Nobles preamp. Do you think the orange 35T small amp speaker is good? Yeah, I do. I looked at that orange actually in Thailand a few years back. Was that or a version of that? Either this one or a version very close to that. And orange amps are excellent. They had, go back, I filmed it. It's in my catalog. I went to that shop and they had the full range. They had orange stuff I've never seen before. Check that out. Yes, orange stuff is great. So the Nobles preamp. This circuit was designed, by the way, in conjunction with Josh over at JHS Pedals. He had a hand in the design of this pedal as well. This really pairs well, interesting enough, with a Fender black panel. they designed it to work with that, and it does indeed. It really works as a preamp. It gives you a little extra oomph on top of what you are, without noise, without coloring. It just raises everything. The next one is, you guys know my clone copy. I had this made in LA, and the company that made these is now defunct. Doesn't surprise me, but it's an excellent clone copy. And this is a 2003 Rat pedal. I think you guys all know the Rat pedal. This one is from 2003. So this doesn't have the magical diode in it. This is still made in the States. They didn't move over to China till 2008, as I seem to recall. But it's got the newer chip that they put in this one. It doesn't matter. I've heard enough Rat pedals where they really all pretty much are the same. But that is a good sound. There are good ones and there are bad ones. I will say that much. And that's a good one. And so, and all of those pedals work very well with that Fender clean channel. They also work very well, especially the Rat, as you guys know, works really well with that Laney. There's a fourth pedal that I have on order that I'm waiting to come from Tomon, ABY splitter that I'm going to put on that. This pedal board will permanently be up front where I usually do my normal shooting. So what I'll do is I will take an ABY pedal, set it right here, coming from coming from the Rat into that. Say that 10 times fast. From the Rat into that, and then going into the Fender and also the Laney at the same, splitting that channel going into the Fender and the Laney, and then I can switch between the two, or I can use them both at the same time, which is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I had sort of that set up in my studio in Singapore, but it was a 2x12 with the Laney, and it was a little mismatched. Having two 1x12s and be able to run them both at the same time and blend those tones, I can't wait to hear that. What power supply do I use? I'm Carl. Assuming it seems like you have to be a little bit more specific on that, sir. About power supply, I'm not quite too sure what you mean by that question. Rephrase that. I'm sorry. I'm getting old and a little slow. But I'm going to do that. I've always wanted to be able to have two 1x12s that I'm running at the same time, that distinct British tone coming from that vintage greenback and that really clean tone coming from that Fender and that Jensen speaker, and blending those two together. For doing demos, it'll be a lot easier. I can quickly split between the two. Power supply for your pedalboard. Oh, yes, sir. Oh, this one is, I don't know if you can see it, that is a Nano. That is a Nano. This is a power station, Nano power station. I got it in Singapore. It's surprisingly not inexpensive. When I saw it, I said, oh, that's a nice little cheap power converter. I was thinking to myself, and I went to the guy that I used to buy things like that from, in the B1 level of the Peninsula Hotel. That's where all the music shops in Singapore are. And I was surprised at what I paid for it, but boy, it's been worth it. So yeah, it's really tiny, but you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, you got 6, 7 9-volt outs and 1 12-volt out if you need to run 12 volts or something, which I did. That Fender pedal that I had, that ran on 12 volts. Well, it ran best on 12 volts. I'm sorry, did I say 12? Yeah, 12, yeah. So, that's what I use for that. But to be able to blend those two together, that's going to be exciting. I think that's going to be an awesome, glorious sound, to just be able to crank and have the Laney and that Fender running at the same time. So the ABY pedal will do that for you. So the guitar goes in, and then that splits out to the two speakers. You can have this one going with this one off, or both of them going, you know, or vice versa, or both of them running. So that'll be the last pedal. I put it in, and it's a surprisingly inexpensive pedal. You can have that for $23 plus shipping from Tone Mod. So look into that. Not an expensive thing to purchase, and does a lot. It carries a lot of water. So I can highly recommend you do that. It's a shame I can't demo any of this stuff this weekend because my parts caster is in with Fern. He has taken in my new tremolo has come in. Frederick, welcome. Welcome, sir. My new tremolo came in, so he's going to put that in for me. That has a real heavy block on it. It's not zinc like the mini block that's in there with the Squire. It's a full size block. And trim system. Don Juan, welcome, sir. I hope you had a good week. I hope you all had a good week. I am so glad that you are all here, all 14, 15 of you watching. I want to thank each and every one of you taking the time to listen to me ramble on about my BS. Actually, it's not. It's kind of interesting stuff. I have a lot to share tonight. Oh, by the way, our mascot, Mr. Moose, is here tonight. This is the channel mascot, so say hello to Moose. He is violent, so please make sure that you say something to him or he'll start spouting off. Just kidding. Cat's Music Journey. Hey! Back to you. Side question. Looking to getting an early 80s Tokai Greco Strat in DK. I know you have experience with buying guitars. Yes, I do. Any advice? Where do I look? In Seoul, near the famous, what is that? What is that? God. Oh, God, what is that district called? Gangnam District? There's a lot of music shops down in that area. And so that's where you kind of want to start at. Seoul and the Gangnam. You know that song, Gangnam Style? Well, that was actually about a particular shopping area district in Korea. And so to my memory, that's a place that you can take a look. Of course, my experiences with Japan, so I don't have as many to list, but I know for a fact because I've walked into those stores at one point in my life or another, so I hope that helps. Don't go in the winter. That's my only thing. Guys, I have literally been to Mount Everest. I've been to Mount Everest. I have been to Nepal. I've been to a lot of places all over this world, and the coldest thing I ever experienced in my life is wintertime in Korea. It is miserable. Because it's just miserable. So don't go in the winter. But so I'm making all these changes. And, I'm doing these things to shift focus. Again, like I said, I'm not recording anymore, so this board is no longer a recording board. Now it's a demoing board and just a practice board for me as well, because I am gearing myself towards possibly playing live, actually, believe it or not. Because I've had enough people ask me about it. So I'm slowly shifting my gear towards doing live work. So the rat pedal comes out, and the pedal board changes its nature, and so you start thinking in that direction. Well, what do I need to make that work? But I've got everything. If I did go that way, I'm set for that now, for sure. But also, I was putting together a lot of parts casters, or going through the process of putting through my own parts caster. And in order to do that, I had to buy a whole body of two separate guitars in order to put those together to get the one that I wanted. And that left me with a situation where I had the completed guitar, but another guitar was missing its neck. And these are all Stratocasters, Partcasters I'm putting together. And I was offered by, you know, one of the coolest guys on this channel, a neck. He said, hey, I got one laying around the shop, I'll send it to you. In the meantime that he made that offer to me, I had found a substitute for very cheap. It was damaged. I had to do some repair work on it. I had to do the whole sanding neck. There was some dents in the neck. I had to fill them in with epoxy and then sand them down with different grades of sanding paper in order to fix that neck so that it was smooth again. But because of that, it was dirt cheap, and it was close to the age of the body. 2001 body, 2003 neck from the same factory. So for $30, I couldn't pass on that. But I thought, oh, gee, you know, I got this other neck that's been offered to be sent to me. I better find a body to put that together too. I'll do something with that as well. So as you guys know, I had a body that I found on the local Dutch platform called Marktplaats. Over here, it's kind of like the Craigslist of things. There is just about everything. It's really localized to just the Netherlands, but it is a spot that you can go to in order to try to sell things and to buy things. And because I'm trying to put these parts casters, of course, on a budget as cheaply as possible, because I think one of the beauties of part casters, and that's we'll talk about this later, but just to touch on it early, about parts casters in terms of doing them as cheaply as possible and just coming out with something really great. You know, that's a real pleasure. And and then just from the budget sense too, you know, I'm really trying not to spend a lot of money, and I want to see what works and then pass that on, knowledge on to other people who are trying to have like minds. And so in terms of going on Marktplaats seemed like a good idea. I said, hey, let me go check this place out and see what it's all about. Well, I did order the damaged neck, the neck that had a little bit of work and had no trees to it. It had been completely stripped. All the tuners, all the trees, everything, just the neck with some small dents in the back that I was able to, in about a few hours, I was able to repair. But that came through and I got it. And then when I said, oh my gosh, you know, I've potentially got this neck coming over from you guys' generosity, you know, I said, let me get this body, and I went on Marktplaats, and that's where I made my mistake. That's when I got scammed. There are no buyer protections on that platform whatsoever, and in terms of customer service, forget about it. It's really a free-for-all. And I saw this Squire body that this guy was selling for about 80 euros. And I said, you know what, okay, that makes sense, you know, I'm just going to try it out, see if it works. And see if I can match those two together. So that was last month. That was a month ago I bought that from the guy. He sent it out, DHL. DHL was supposed to deliver it to a delivery spot point. I don't like delivering big things like that to my house here because they end up getting lost in transit and or going to a neighbor, and then the neighbor's out for the weekend and it just doesn't work out. So I usually have it dropped off to a drop-off spot. It was sent to a drop-off spot. The message came back that the drop-off spot was full, which I've never heard before. So there's the first red flag, and that they were going to return it to the sender. The guy strung me along. He said, "Hey, I'm calling DHL. I've got a investigation launch. An investigation launch with DHL and a handful of dog crap. There's more value over here with the dog crap." Because all they do is just look, hey, it came here and it said this, and we sent it to the guy. But no explanation as why this happened in the first place. No help in terms of getting information on the sender. Completely useless. And after a month of going through that, right at the point, and I sent a complaint in to Markplots, they don't help you get your money back. 30 days after I put that order in, he put the same unit back up on Markplots again under a different name. So I was out about 80 euros on that, on that deal, and got scammed. Now, I'm of two minds as far as is concerned this week. I spent a whole month somewhat doubtful, but believing that, because the guy kept sending me messages and saying, hey, I'm going to take care of this, we're going to do this. I haven't heard anything from them yet. He was staying pretty steady up until the time that it got delivered back to his house, and then after that it went radio silence. And the month of angsting over it, I've been mentioning it for the last few weeks to you guys. I've been talking about this body that I'm hoping to come through. It's not coming. And it stressed me out because, it just stressed me out because, I've dealt with bad, I have a reverb shop, and I've dealt with customers that are just angels of varying degrees, from just being angels to just being just complete jackasses. And I can generally deal with that. When I bought things off of Reverb, I was never scammed, other than some things, but when they didn't show up, I got my money back. And so there's a lot of buyer protection there. So I've only been living here in Europe for 3 years, and I think that I was making assumptions and not putting up guards. That's my fault. That I should have. I was being a little bit too naive and trusting, because generally in Singapore it doesn't happen. In Japan it really doesn't happen. Can you type in the chat your online store? Give me a moment. I don't have an online store. Oh, the Reverb store. Yeah, I can do that. Give me a moment. I'll get that for you. But I'm of two minds of that. Sorry guys, I'm not going to type it in because I don't have it up to just copy and paste, but it's Mike's Guitar Attic. Mike's Guitar Attic on Reverb. Mike's Guitar Attic. And so I blame myself. Whenever something like this happens, and I talked to Fern about it, because as I said, I was dropping my parts caster off with him on Friday. Mickey, welcome. Just talking about you. I was talking about, I was trying to find a body for that neck that you offered to send over to me, and I got scammed, unfortunately, as far as the body is concerned. I do appreciate your generosity, but I think we can put that one on ice, because, this was a bitter one this week. I appreciate it, man, but it looks like that's not going to be necessary going here forward, but I do appreciate it. Yeah, I got scammed, but I blame myself. I let the guy lead me on. There's really nothing. Once you make that payment through on Markplots, you're pretty much, Mickey, it is. I fumed for a good 2 days on Thursday and Friday. I was fuming to the point where it was just because you know, I spent a month believing this guy. And then when I opened up Mark Plots and I saw the same exact item for sale under a different name, I was just like, fuck, you know, excuse my language, excuse my French. But I couldn't blame, I don't blame the thief. I'd never blame the thief. Yeah, thanks guys. I don't blame the thief because thieves are going to thief. If you leave your house unlocked or your wallet laying on the table, well, thieves are going to thieve. And so I can only really blame myself. And so I immediately deleted the Mark Platts app off my phone. I will never touch that place. You know, for you, George Bush famously, you know, screwed this line up, but it's, you know, first time shame on you, second time shame on me. I'm going to definitely make sure that there is no second time on this one. So I deleted the app off it. I won't use it again. I don't care if there's bargains to be had on it. It's no bargain if you don't get it, if you're sitting there with your fingers crossed hoping that it comes. And it's 80 euros. I told Fern about it. He made me feel a little better because he said, yeah, you know, dude, you know, you're in scammers paradise. And I've had customers, he's had customers who he did luthier work for and they didn't pay. They didn't pay. So it is unfortunate. I was so looking forward, Mickey, to seeing what we could do in another Mickey and Mike project like the Telecaster to see what we could do there. But thieves have put a squash on that, but it's all right. But you know, I will say that you know, when one door closes, another one opens. You know, you gotta keep, you know, I let it eat me up, and I said to myself, for about 2 days I stewed over it, and I said to myself, why are you letting this eat you up? Yeah, it sucks, and you're just gonna have to eat it, but, you know, move on. And on that same, when I was having that same thought, doorbell rings, a package comes in. It's my package of stuff from Temu. As you guys know, the online Chinese store is something that I became aware of. And I thought, hey, you know, maybe there's some place that I could go to find inexpensive parts to put together these parts casters. You know, like I said, I want to do it for the channel. And some of these I want to give away. You know, there's a lot of kids out here could use. If I can do it cheaply enough and make it make sense, then I can donate them. Man, 2 hats. Don't you have 2 strap bodies and both? Yes, I do now. So what it was is that, as I was saying, so Mickey offered the neck when the Affinity didn't have one. But in the week before he and I had talked about it, I found a replacement neck. It needed a lot of work, but it was bone cheap. It had, it's here behind me, I don't want to take it out of the bag, but it had some nicks in the back. I took some epoxy, put that in, filled that in, scraped it down, and it's just beautiful. And I said, well, Mickey's offered this neck. Let me try to see if I can find a body to match with that. And that's where this went. But again, I still, as you pointed out, I still got 2 beautiful Strats that I'm working on. The Temu order was the tuners for that Affinity Strat, the one that I'm still working on. So yeah, just one door closes and another one opens is the message of this. Is that even though, you know, that Mark Platts is just not going to be something that I can trust to get stuff like this, the Chinese came through. The Dutch failed me, but the Chinese came through. It's terrible. But it's true, though, in this regard, because this came through like a champ. So I'll put these tuners on that I got. And by the way, 9 euros for this. I got this. And this right here, rest neck, so I can work on guitars. Always wanted a proper one of these instead of the rags I've been using for doing work on my workbench. I got the 2 of these from Temu for 17 euros including shipping. And you'll say to yourself, well, are those tuners any good? Yeah, they're pretty good. They're actually really good. They're the same quality that you would find interestingly enough, on a Squire. So good enough. I need one of these. You know, this is one of those things that you never think that you need until you need it. You're like, well, I've got to do this thing with my guitar, and well, let me get some rags and prop it up, or I used to use a toilet paper roll. Yep. Yeah, I used to use a toilet paper roll and put that under the that works actually. It's Charmin 2-ply, you know. But yeah, this is one of those things you don't think about until you think about it. But yeah, I was able to get those things from. So one door closed, another one open. So I'm going to remain positive. I'm no longer going to allow myself to get burned up over it and upset about it. It started out. You know, as a positive thing, so I would like to try to keep it as a positive thing. But I'm washing my hands. I'm working for my own sanity's sake, because I hate thieves. I really hate thieves, and so I try to think of ways in order to try to prevent them doing their thing to me and my own. And when they do, I can only kick myself. That's all it is, you know. So that's just my kind of thing on that. But yeah, Temu, guys, you should check it out. Someone tried to scam me this week with a jet guitar I'm selling, but alarm bells ringing and I called the deal off. Yeah, you gotta go on your gut. See, Mickey, that's the thing, is when I first put that order in for that body, I don't know. I don't generally ask questions. I usually look at it, you know, with that neck. I looked at it and I said, okay, that I know what it is. It's stripped down, but I can make that work. I'll just have to find the parts. And I felt good about it. But this one, I asked a question. I was like, hey, guy, could you, what year is this one? You know, because there was just something there. And he responded very quickly and he had an answer. And I just said, okay. So I think that just in my own gut initially, the first thing, something told me that I should just keep on walking. But, you know, sometimes we have to really trust our gut instinct. And that's how that goes. What do I got here? So, which leads me to the next subject, modular design versus everything else. You know, since I started on this quest of building these parts casters, the parts caster Stratocaster, I'm only going to keep the one. The Affinity that I'm redoing, I'm going to donate that guitar as well. Much like with the Harley Benton, that guitar is going to be, the Affinity is going to be donated as well. Hard times out there, folks. And people's wallets are drawing up, the purse strings are drawing up, donations of things are slowing down. And I figure, you know, for a couple, you know, $9 for the tuners, you know, $30 for the neck and whatever, you know, I could put this thing together for about 100 euros and donate it. So that, but it's got to be right. It's got to be right. Right now, eBay and the U.S. Postal Service having bad beef here in the States with tracking your items. Look bad for so. Yeah, you know, it's you know, you guys should watch this television show if you're not familiar with it. It's by Donald Glover. He's an actor. He played Lando Calrissian in that really not so bad Star Wars movie remake. But he has a show called Atlanta. And he had one episode called Robin Season, where the closer you get to the holidays, that's when all the scams jump off. And it's just really, it's such a true thing. I saw that and it stuck in my head. I was like, yeah, Robin Season, that is for real. And we are moving into Robin Season. It's just, it's the nature of the beast. You move into the holidays and, you know, the cold weather, and I just don't know, man. The rats come out. So this is a season. This is a PSA, a public service announcement. It is Robin season officially now. Me and Mickey can attest to that. So I think that you guys should act accordingly. Be very careful with any I think that's what I wanted to get to with this tonight, is just to say, you guys just be careful with any deals that you do out there. As Mickey pointed out, if you don't feel good about it, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Sad but facts. Yes, don't do it. Also, make sure you're dealing with a platform that has buyer protections. The reason I deleted Mark Platts is because I had no idea until I had a problem and I started digging into it that I have no recourse whatsoever. Zero. And that is not a platform for me. Delete. And it will not go back to it, won't look at it, won't consider it, and I'm glad it's gone. But be careful out there. It's robbing season, guys, and the scams are out there, and they are going to scam you. And especially with things being the way they are economically, you know, yeah, you can expect a lot of that. So be careful, be wise, be vigilant. I like modular guitars. This thing going into parts casters, and like I said, you know, the Affinity will be a donation. I only want to keep the one that I'm putting together for myself, the parts caster Strat. You guys are familiar with. That's my guitar going forward. PayPal goods and services are, what is this? Why can't I read that? Let it scroll up, Mickey. I think that's going to be PayPal goods and services or cash. Yeah, yeah. I just did the pedal that I bought from Tomon was no longer. They're not doing CODs. I told you here to the Netherlands anymore. I had to pay up front, so it was a bank transfer. They either do PayPal bank transfer or you transfer directly to their bank. They stopped doing cash on delivery here. Pissed me off because I told you the delivery system's not great. And if it didn't show up, I called them up and said, hey, I didn't get it. So, you know, good luck with that. So I think they had so much of that going on here, they canceled that. The pedal that I ordered, yeah, I had to transfer the money over to Tomon through PayPal. And once they confirm that they've received it, then they'll send me the invoice that they're sending the pedal. Because they're like, we're not participating in Robin season. We're not anymore over there in the Netherlands. And so, yeah, they dropped out. And dig that, man, because they were getting ripped off. You know, it's just nature of the beast. So I had to be wise, you know, be as wise as wolves, but innocent as sheep, my friends. You really have to recognize and know what the scams are and just try to avoid those pitfalls. But I like these modular designs. I like putting them together. I really do. And, you know, I've gone on, there's a new kind of personal thing that I'm doing. See, the modular design guitars that I've been putting together opened up a whole lot of other things for me. They opened up that Fender Champ amp. Before I would have never thought about it. It wasn't a direction. That and a few other things in my life moved me in that direction, but it really started when I started messing with Stratocasters and trying to put together my own Partcaster. And I like that. I like that it opened up a whole new, you know, world and venue of things for me. I'm not recording anymore, as I said, but for live playing, I can cover with the Rat pedal and everything in that Strat. Just messing around the last few days, I can cover just about every tone that I was getting out of my various Les Pauls. PayPal concerns are cash only, yeah. Big Fast, but yeah, they're cash only, yeah. Because they don't want to go through Robin season, as I said. So, and the fact that right now, if I'm putting into the new bridge and tremolos, the new tremolo system that Fern put in cost me 35 euros. The pickups, as you know, I have those. I'm in still under 280 euros. All of it, no, less than that. somewhere around 200. We'll just say we'll go on the high side and say I'm at 280 euros invested into that guitar. And when I go to pick it up from Fern tomorrow with the new tremolo and the new pickups in it, those 89 Japanese pickups, I think that it's going to be a screamer. I don't see myself really needing to do anything else to that Partscaster, but the fact that it was a modular design and I was able to put something together like that was really fantastic. And something that I don't know why I was denying myself all these years. So a lot of you guys are out there like, no duh, Mike. And that's all right. It's cool, essay. It's cool. You know, I just came to that. Everybody in their own season, and I came to that, and it really opened up a lot. You guys were saying to me, hey, Mike, you know, what about Strats? And then when I got one, you were like, you know, just wait for it. And you guys were right. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to tomorrow to go to Fern's and pick that up and know that it's done and play it in my new rig and just take the pleasure of that. But on that note of finding pleasure in things, I saw an interview with Mr. Himmick of Metallica, Kirk, talking about the new Epiphone Les Paul Greenie that is coming out here shortly. Not a lot of other channels have covered this, and there was a leak of it. Apparently a music store got one in and sold it early to a customer, and that customer went out and posted every picture, every angle, crack, crease, and corner of that thing he could. And Kirk Hammett was saying, of all of the Greenie copies that are out, he said, I like the Epiphone model the most. He says, I like the Epiphone the most. He says, the one that when I'm at home at night, and just like everybody else, it's my couch strumming guitar. It's, you know, sitting on the couch, and I do that. I am, if I'm not doing work and I'm sitting on the couch, I've got a guitar in my lap, guys. That's just. And when he said that, I said, you know what? I actually believe this, because that's a real statement. I could connect. That was, you know, he's a multi-millionaire, famous guitarist, and you know, I'm a TV commercial producer, a music producer, but sometimes my own band. But he said something where we both could meet. And so I admired that. So I read on, and he said, you know, it's not about my name. It's not about my fortune. It's not about, you know, getting my name on a guitar. He says, I like being able to have Epiphone put this guitar together in order to give people who want to have the Greenie experience a chance to have it on a budget. And because the sentiment is maybe somebody will take that guitar and they'll make some good music out of it that we'll all enjoy, and I'll feel good about being part of that process. And that fell in line with this thing that I was thinking about. Again, it's something that resonated with me, because with these Stratocasters putting together, the joy of the creativity that comes out of that, the inspiration that comes out, the new sounds, the new tones, that leads to new amps, that leads me to bringing my rat pedal out, you know, because it's the last of my old pedals that I kept. But it opened up a whole new sonic palette for me, and I admired that. The guy that brought that Greenie posted a video here on YouTube. Yeah, because he knows that he's got gold. He has the exclusive on something that a lot of people are interested in doing, and I can dig that. If somebody was stupid enough to sell it to me, hell yeah, I'd have put it up, guys. I would have done it. I'm not gonna lie to you. If down here in Utrecht, my guy in Utrecht said, hey, because he's a dealer, Epiphone dealer, hey, I got one of these in, you want it? Heck yeah, I want it, because, you know, that's views up the yin yang. Now, with all that said, And I appreciate Kirk's message there. I can dig that. However, I read the fine print and I saw that that guitar is $14.99. And I thought to myself, who are these people that he speaks of that can't afford the 20, so the $3,000 copy of this, is not to your fancy, but maybe this half price, this $1,500 one will. And if you had said, well, this $3,000 one, doesn't work for you, then this $799 one, this $890, we'll even go $890, this $899 one with the case, maybe this will work for you. And then I would have said to myself, I think he's going to be able to achieve, what he wants out of that, what he hopes to get out of that, other than a paycheck. I think if $14.99, this guitar is going to sit on the shelf. I don't see, and yeah, I looked at it. I looked at the video. Interestingly enough, guys, guess what? It's got that Gibson open book headstock on it. I told you that that was coming. My Stoner guitar, which is licensed to do that by Gibson, to have that headstock on it. That I knew that would come over to Epiphone, but it's gonna come at a premium. I do believe that is one of the things that's the tax. Hey, you wanted an Epiphone with the Gibson open book headstock on it. You didn't like any other, the Kalamazoo design, the Maxi Pad design, as they used to call the other one, the older one. You didn't like those? Hey, we are going to give you the Kalamazoo. We're going to give you the open book, legit Gibson USA headstock on these. But we're going to put a premium on it. And boy, howdy, did they put a premium on it. And so, I find that fascinating. That I think it'll sit on the shelves. I think just like a lot of these signature models that Epiphone has come out with, yes, they're made great improvements. The neck on the one that you guys did the video, I didn't see the video, but I saw the pictures from the video. I suppose that's what it was. The neck on that is gorgeous. That is the most gorgeous neck that I've seen on an Epiphone in a long time. The quality of the wood, it is gorgeous. I'm not lying. It's really, take a look at it. Is it $1,500 gorgeous? One piece one piece open book headstock neck like that? Is it 15? Like I said, there's some stuff going on there. I told you, they have moved up into that territory where they're saying, hey, you can't buy the 3,000 or quickly going up Gibson, then we're going to offer you a half price 1,500 Epiphone. Whereas before they used to be, a quarter of the price, or a fifth of the price, in some cases. And that's the direction that they're moving in. So you will see that this is not the only one that's going to have that headstock on it moving forward. Especially if they sell. I don't think they will. I think that I think there's a finite amount of cats who are going to buy that, and that's going to be that. Is a neck flame maple or something? Yeah, it's a flame maple neck, but it's a grain. It's not really a flame as much as I would say it's a grainy neck, and it's a dark grainy maple neck, and it's gorgeous. I'm not kidding. I looked at it and I said, holy crap, I would like to have that neck on the back of my Stoner because it's gorgeous. But $14.99 gorgeous again? I don't think so. So, I'm going to take Mr. Hemmett's sentiment and I'm going to apply it to a category of guitars tonight that I think is more in line with the reality of what he's trying to do. Mickey, do you still have the Epiphone Oh, the Epiphone 59? No, Mickey, no. The Epiphone 59, I traded that in for the Stoner guitar. The 59 got traded for the Stoner because they were willing to do a straight trade. The Stoner didn't come with a case, but they were willing to do a straight trade with me for that guitar. And as I've pointed out before, no, wait a minute. I had them both at the same time, so that's not possible. What did I trade the Stoner? Well, anyway, I traded something for I'm sorry, guys. I deal with so many guitars. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm really forgetting. No, I had them both at the same time because I was comparing the two of them. Yeah, but I sold the 59 on. That got sold because the Stoner was, or traded for something else. Because the Stoner really is in every way, shape, or form a superior guitar. And that's it. That headstock with the Epi name looks off to me. You know, that's the thing. Isn't that something? I thought the same thing too. With that Epiphone logo on the top, everybody finally got, after all these years, hey, how come you don't put that open book headstock in? Well, now that we got it, it looks a little off with that Epiphone across. I don't know why. I thought the same thing too. I really did. So I don't know, guys. If you were in the market to get one of those, I would wait. I'd wait. I'd be honest with you. I would wait on that because I really don't think that that's going to move. I'd be really surprised if those sell out. They move quickly. I think that those are going to sit around. I saw a guy who took one of those Epiphones that Alderton's in the UK was selling that had the same color top on it, and he did the knobs and he did it up, and he's selling it for $1,000 on Reverb, and it looks the same with the exception of the headstock. I thought the same too regarding the headstock. Yeah. It just looked off to me there. I was like, okay, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. You've been asking for this. Yeah, got you. You've been asking for this. Here it is. And we're all like, be careful of what you ask for. Literally, people have been screaming up the walls to Gibson for decades to make that move. Now that they made it, we'll see how well it sets in reality. That's why I always say, man, you gotta live with stuff. Well, sometimes it sounds good on paper. It does not transfer well to real life. A lot of things, and this may be that case. It looked off to me. But I thought I would take his sentiment and wrap this up tonight talking about the best guitars under $500. Because he was, his sentiment was right on, but it was misplaced with a $14.99 guitar. Did you all understand that? Does that kind of jive with you? I appreciate that he was saying, I want to get this in the hands. Hey, Mickey. God bless you. Thank you, brother. I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you so much, man. You've always been kind to me. And that's exactly what it's going to go for as well. But I appreciate his sentiment. His heart's in the right place as much as it can be for a guy in his position in life. But a $14.99 guitar, no. But so let's look at some $500 that I just, some of them I'm familiar with. And some of them I had to do a little research on Reverb, but all of them I picked excellent guitars that punch above their grade, but they're $500 and under. Now, some of these are right at the $500 mark, some are under it, some are just slightly above, but basically the mean average is about $500. I will preface this by saying that I always state this, and I always think this, that if you've got $500 to spend on a guitar, $400 is for the actual guitar, another $100 is for taking it to a luthier and having it set up. And then you've got yourself gold. PRS SEs run 20% off in the States and 3 Model 2. I'm buying the new SE Swami. Yeah, I've been hearing that on YouTube as well on the internet. about PRS blowing out, and everybody seems to feel that Fender should do the same thing. And I agree. As a matter of fact, Fender made my list exactly for that reason. Number 5 on my list. We'll get to that. But again, $400 for the guitar, $100 for a setup. You know, on these $500 guitars, because inevitably, whether you buy it new, maybe if you buy it used, and the first cat did a setup usually for this one, then most folks don't. But just if you buy it new or used, just put $100 aside on that you figure is going to just go for that, and you will be laughing. The first one on this list is not a surprise, but it is definitely one of those ones you want to spend $400 on, and $100 for a setup is a Harley-Benton HSS Fusion. Now, here you have an humbucker, single, Fusion style guitar, flame maple neck on this one. Again, can be had in that price range, and a little bit of money left over and do a setup on it, which you're going to need, because every Harley Benton that I've ever played, I had the worst time with the frets. That's the deal breaker with Harley Bentons for me, are the frets, especially those medium jumbo, which I swear are jumbo frets. But if that doesn't bother you, then the fret sprout and other things that occur with those, things that need to be tightened up on that is definitely one that I would recommend. It's a great guitar once you spend a little bit of money professionally having it set up, or maybe you can do the work yourself. So the Harley-Benton HSS Fusion is one that I could recommend under $500. The next one would be a used Sire S7. I really think that if you can find one of these guitars used, you're not going to have any of the fret. This is you know, these guitars are just wonderful, and it's a bargain if you can find it used at that price. A used Schecter C1 is number 3 on my list. If you can find a used, which you can, they're there, I saw them. If you can find a used Schecter C1, I can highly recommend that, because that you're getting a lot of guitar. That, again, one of those guitars that punches above, especially if you can buy it used these days. And it's not really a guitar that on a lot of people's radars. Well, the Schecters are, but not really. The next one on my list is the Yamaha Pacifico 112. This Yamaha guitar, the 112, you can get them new for around $500 these days. Maybe there's somebody doing blowouts on them. You can get them down a little bit cheaper. I don't understand why people don't like Yamaha guitars. I think Rhett Butler, or Rhett Shaw, Rhett Butler, that's the guy from Gone with the Wind. Rhett Shaw did a video on why nobody likes Yamahas, and he had a Yamaha Rep Star guitar that he was using as an example, and he was pointing out that it's an awesome guitar, sounds great, excellent, but it just sits in his corner gathering dust. It's not one of those ones that he reaches for. But it is an excellent guitar, and if it is going to be your one and only guitar, you don't have the options that he has. If you don't have the options that he has, and this is going to be your one guitar, then that's a great guitar, as he was pointing out, and I agree. For the money, the Yamaha Pacifico 112 would be a way to go. It's just one of those guitars that punches above its pay grade. Number 5 on my list gets back to what I was alluding to about Fenders blowing their stuff out, and it's a Mexican Fender. I was shocked when I went to Vinendal and I saw, as I told you, I would say just this oversaturation of Fender guitars. I've been going to Vinendal off and on for the last 4 years. Even before I moved here, I would fly over from Singapore to attend. And I was shocked by the amount of Fenders that I saw this year, and I was really surprised because, as you know, I was looking at Les Pauls. You know, that was my thing, and I was checking those out, and all the variants of that. This year, because of the parts caster, another thing in my life that pointed the eye of Sauron into another direction, I started looking at those Fender Mexican Strats there, and I was shocked by the prices. They were going for really, if you had cash money, you could walk out with two Mexican Strats for 1,000 euros. 1,000 euros that day. I saw two that both of the separate dealers, both of those guys told me 500 cash, it's yours. You know, Mexican Strats. And I have no need for that. For me personally, my parts caster is more than enough, and I don't have any client that I know of that would be interested in a Mexican Strats, especially with them blowing them out. So there's no money in there for me, and no interest for me. So I said thank you, and I kept walking. But I was in the back of my mind, I was like, wow, that's crazy. So yeah, you can get a Mexican Strat, and I'm sure it's no different in the States. I'm sure if you go on Craigslist and or to some shops, I think in the 500, 550 range, I know, in the 500, 550 range, you can get a made in Mexico Strat. You can certainly get those for that kind of money over here, if you know where to look. So that's something, and they're starting to say that some of these Squires are better than that they're coming out with. Number 6 on my list is a better deal and a better guitar than the Mexican-made Strats, and that's number 6 is the Squire Classic Vibe series. They've been picked over. I think the Squire Classic Vibe series was one of the most successful production runs that Squire has done, without any question. They I got a Squire Classic Vibe Telecaster. So what can I say? I even bought one, and it's excellent. You would never need another Telecaster once you bought. I mean, you really wouldn't. I'm being frank with you. I've owned Telecasters my whole life, and that one stands up with any other Fender that I've had. And so, yeah, they're stunning work. So, and it's interesting. Try finding them used on Reverb. People who bought them are holding on to those. They're blowing out the 40th anniversary ones, but they're not blowing out the few classic vibes that they have. You can stumble across them in little small shops here. I ran into one here just the other day when I was picking up the Fender Champ. They had a classic vibe Strat in there. So you can get it for good, but they're not discounting them too much. You get the used price for a shop. They're not blowing them out because they're popular, and I don't know how much longer that one will sit there. Funny story the guy told me, because he's also a client of mine. I'm moving some of his guitars, or attempting to move some of his. He has a 67 135. He's got a couple of 71 Strat. He's got a 56 hardtail Strat that he's looking for me to move over to Japan. So I went to go talk to him. And he told me the story that somebody, the next day, after I went in to get that Fender Champ, another customer came in and said he was looking for that Fender Champ. I felt kind of bad because I thought to myself, well, he did the deal with me on a trade for pedals. And not this guy would have came in and paid cash. So I felt bad about that. But boy, talk about the early bird gets the worm. And it's funny. That's another one of those situations, Mickey, where I was feeling it. I went there because his shop is very infrequent. I went there, and he was closed, and it was pissing down rain day. Well, it normally is here. I came back home and I was just bone tired, and just something in me said, hey man, let's try him now. I waited 2 hours. Let's see if he's open. So it's about a 15, 20-minute walk. So I went out again and he was open, and I did the deal because something in me, I was like, oh no, I'm too tired. I'm just going to stay home. That's it. But something in me said, hey, no, you need to go do this today. Dig that. He told me that story. I was like, wow. Yeah, I have a couple of CVs too. The Jazzmaster and the custom double bound Telly, both in sunburst. Love them. Yeah, my Telly, as you know, is in the blonde one. Ben was giving out his bank card information, so he deleted that. Mickey, I'm looking for a used classic vibe myself. Yeah. See, Mickey, that's what I thought. And I think that dude, I think that's getting back to the scam. I think because he said it was a classic, because he gave me the date of it. He said it was a 2019. And I looked at it and I said, that's a classic vibe body. I knew, just looking at it, I said, that's a classic vibe from 2019. I knew that. And I think because of the popularity, I think that's kind of the hook that scammer is using. That's how popular that is. So, yeah. How about old oil Ernie balls? Yeah, can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with that one, I agree. You can also find a made in Mexico Strat easily for $300 to $400 in New York. Yeah, don't want. That's what I'm saying. In the States, I know. Because over here in Europe, everything's got a little bit of a tax on it. But I know in the States you can get made in Mexico Fender Strats all day. So you really have to ask yourself, do I want this Squire, that's a hell of a thing, because you're really asking yourself, do I want this classic vibe Squire, or do I want this made in Mexico Strat? And that Squire is a better deal. As a matter of fact, almost all the parts on the made in Mexico Strats are interchangeable with the Squire Strats. You can take it out, drop it right in. So there's that. People are selling them off left and right, yeah, because the market is crashing on them. That's the reason why I traded in the pedals that I traded in, because I'm always looking at the market values. That information on Reverb, where it tells you the market values, it does have an interest. And all of the pro dealers, all my dealer guys that I deal with, they refer to that. When I bring something down to them and they don't know it, they're going to go to Reverb and they're going to look at the market chart. And they're going to see, is that going up or is it going down? Is there potential here, or is he trying to unload a turkey on me? And people are seeing that those made in Mexico Fenders are you can have a Fender. Oh, great! Now, hey guys, I didn't have to put a Fender head, sticker on my Squire. I can go out and get myself a real Fender. And you see how stupid and ridiculous that sentiment and thought process has been all along. Because the Squire now is the better guitar. Maybe you need to take that made in Mexico Fender and put a Squire logo on it. We've gotten to those days, boys. I got a 1991 made in Mexico Fender Strat for $350. There you go. All the Indonesian Telecaster have been wonky ferrets around the back, unlike the Chinese ones, which were perfect. Yeah, when you have that Court factory in Indonesia versus the APEC factory in China that they're running out of, the Chinese have been in the game like the Japanese had been in the game when they started to really shine for a long time, and a lot of American manufacturers are going over there, and a lot of stuff coming out of China is this Fender Champ is made in China. Interesting enough, the Fender Champ 20 is made in Indonesia. I didn't know that. The 20 is made in Indonesia. The Champ is made in China, and that amp is great. Yeah, man, the Squire Classic vibes. I'm glad that I got that telly because it was just on a whim. I saw it and I picked it up and it ended up being a winner. There's a Squire Affinity Strat for sale not far from me for $35. Yeah, Mickey, I would go for that. If depending upon the year. if you're looking for a Squire Strat, you know, when I'm done with the Infinity, you can have that one. You've been so kind to me. You're more than welcome to that one. People were selling Starcaster bodies as Squires and American Strat bodies. A lot of scamming, yeah. Yeah, OLP Ernie Balls. OLP Ernie Balls. Yeah, I got that one. I saw that earlier. Yeah. Got you on the Ernie Balls. If you're going to go for Infinity, yeah, you know, for 35, you can't go wrong. Just snap them up. Because they're not bad guitars. They're, you know, it's a great guitar. And once I get it done, some kid or some adult maybe, whoever gets it, whoever takes the donation, is going to have themselves an awesome guitar, just like that Harley Benton after we put a little bit of work into it. Like I said, you know, put a little bit of work into them and they're great. It's just I've moved on, guys, to a new philosophy for myself personally. With the advent of getting that Fender Champ in, being able to put in a excellent speaker, that Jensen again C12N into it, that had been laying around gathering dust. If you see the video, you'll see I'm not BSing you. When I'm filming, I'm holding it up, and you can see the ring of dust around that thing. It was in its box still here, and the cats hadn't got to it, but it was a dusty little fucker. The Chinese factory-made Stellcasters just ran heavy from guitar to guitar. Yeah, yeah. You know, it's weird. With these Strats, especially with the CVs, the only thing that I can say the custom vibes is that they're heavy guitars. They're heavy. They're great guitars, but they're heavy. You know, my Telecaster I consider to be relatively light, but still heavy. But then again, my old Fender Telecaster was made from basswood, so that's a naturally lightwood, so maybe I got spoiled by that, I was thinking as well. But, yeah, you know, just interesting to me, guys, you know. I'm rambling on at this point, but how's everybody doing out there? So glad you guys made it. But yeah, that Champion, again, it just, I'm moving in a direction where I'm limiting myself now to one guitar and those two amps. For myself personally, of course, I've got my few, the CV aforementioned, and the Stoner. Stoner is going to get moved on, by the way. Because of this very thing. It was heavy, and it's just not something that I was reaching for every day, and that was supposed to be my everyday guitar. If I'm not reaching for it, I find it uncomfortable to play. Love the guitar, great guitar, but it was just not a pleasure like to play like that parts caster that I put together. My God, again, that thing is super light. So nice to sit down on the couch, sit there or on my milk bench and strum it. It's when I'm doing demos or doing YouTube stuff, such a pleasure to play compared to picking up the Les Paul. And so that's my guitar. All the rest of them will be in their case. They will not come out. The ones that do stay, they'll stay put away. But that is the one guitar that I'm going to play because I really want to get to know it. Now that it's, as of tomorrow, will be in tip-top form, I'm really just going to focus on one guitar and two amps. That's really going to be my thing going forward. That's the other reason I'm getting that ABY switcher too, so when I demo things I can quickly have that guitar, whatever I'm doing, hit that ABY switch. Let's listen to it at Fender Cleans. Let's listen to it with Laney, a little bit of gain on the Laney. Let's listen to it through this Rat pedal. Let's listen to, you know, and doing pedal reviews if I do pedal reviews. going forward as well. It's just moving everything in a production viewpoint, but on a personal level, I am that one guitar and those 2 amps, I feel complete. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I feel complete. Squier makes the special run guitars in Japan. Yeah, I'm saying China. Yeah, because those guys got it down for years. But I feel complete. The Laney, again, does not compete with the Fender and the Fender. They complement each other. And that Strat, I can't wait to hear how those nickel 5 pickups sound, as opposed to the ceramics that I'm keeping ceramic pickups that it came with, by the way, just in case. I can do the swap back myself. I'm having Fern do that because he's doing the tremolo change, so might as well have him do it all. But if I'm not happy with it, I will do that swap. But I just can't wait to hear that, because I think that that's all I need. I'm covered. Again, I'm good. If I play live, I'm ready to go. I can take the Laney and the Champ on stage, run them in stereo with the ABY switcher, with my pedal board, and I'm blowing out the back of the room with that, because the 50 watts on the Laney, the 15 watts on the Laney and the 40 watts on the Champ, that's got me covered. So if I do want to play live, I've got my live rig all together with my parts caster. I'm happy with that. I'm good. Lighter is better as long as it plays good. What tremolo did you get, Mike? Fern picked it up for me. Hold on. That I can tell you, because that is going to lead to my notes for something that I want to finish on tonight. Let's go back. Yeah, I can tell you that. Hold on. Let's go to Fern, and he's got a picture of it here. So this is doesn't have a name. It cost 30 euros. Tremolo Assembly Standard Series Strat 06 to present, chrome, vintage style chrome bridge assembly for use on most standard, deluxe, Roadhouse, Lone Star, and blacktop Stratocaster models manufactured from 2006 to present. 6-pin, it features 6 bent fender stamp saddles, intonation screws and springs, saddle height adjustment screws, mounting hardware, tremolo claw, tremolo springs, and tremolo arm. Vintage style chrome bridge assembly. Mounting standard 10 by 32 tremolo arm threading. And it's a beauty. I went to his shop when I dropped off the guitar. Fern has been a good friend to this channel. He is a godsend, Mickey. Fern has been a good friend to this channel in terms of the information that he's given us. If you look at some of the videos he's done, he wants to do. He asked me to do a video. He wants me to come down to his shop and do another one, because he's got some stuff that he wants to share with you guys. He's always given me a break. He knows that I'm trying to run a business. I'm trying to do this, that, and the other. And he always gives me a good break on doing stuff, and timely as well, and excellently. So he's a good friend. He's not just he's a friend. He's a good friend. So I do appreciate him. But that's the tremolo that I got. He found it, and it's a good one. I held it in my hand, and it's a good full-size block, and it's the real deal. And that between that and the pickup swap, I think that parts caster is done. As a matter of fact, I don't think it's done. I know it's done. It's not going to get any better than that. It couldn't be any better. And it's a fine guitar for playing live and for recording. I'm good. So, because leading to my final note tonight, something that our good friend and my Uncle Carlton sent, that he wanted me to share with you guys tonight. So So, in line with that, and thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. Because, we all are experiencing trying to do things these days. My channel is about doing things on a budget. I don't do this because it's a lark of me. I do it because I have to do things on a budget. I have to think about how I can do things or achieve things, and I've been doing it for years. It's been a lifestyle for me. In terms of finding good quality and then sharing that, and then I said, well, let me start a YouTube channel and share how I'm doing it. And trading 3 pedals last week for this Fender Champ is a good example of that. And so it's about this channel. The model of I'm good really gets down to how I'm good. Okay, if I'm not good, how can I make myself good on a budget? This is a budget channel. Under $500 guitars, the 6 brands that I mentioned and a few that were mentioned in the chats. I think all of these guitars that I mentioned tonight, if you had any one of them, you're good to go. You don't need a $14.99 greenie unless you really got a hard-on for Kurt Emmett, which it's not even his guitar originally in the first place. It was Peter Green's guitar. Why it's, which is why it's the greenie, which, anyway, why is a signature for Kurt Emmett when it should be a Peter Green signature? That would make more sense to me. Oh, I guess it's whoever owns the rights to it. Music equipment and modifications on a budget is just so much fun. And it's been a learning curve. Look, that soldering iron that has been long overdue to replace the one I had to give up in Singapore got put to work this week in terms of doing that pickup swap, pickup a connector swap in the Affinity I'm working on, and the speaker swap with the Fender Champ. This is work when I was in Singapore that I started doing one day, or I was farming it out, and one day I was in Singapore and I started saying to myself, hey, what am I doing here? Why don't I learn how to do this and do it myself? And that was also a genesis of this channel, why it started in Singapore, is to go through that learning process with me as I learned how to do those type of things and sharing. The woodwork that I did this week, refinishing that neck that I bought used. That's the first time I've done that. But it worked out like a charm, like an absolute charm. The back of that neck is as smooth as a baby's butt is now. You can see that it doesn't take, you can still see the indentation there, but it's underneath the, it's smoothed out. You can't feel it, And for a first time doing a little repair like that, I was extremely pleased with how it came out. It let me know that I have a good touch for that kind of work, just like the refinishing work and the paint work and stripping work that I've been doing on the parts caster, that I kind of have an affinity for that. Speaking of affinities, I kind of have a knack for it that I did not know that I had until the last, 10 years or so. And it's a good feeling, and it's so much fun. That's why I say, hey, try it out. It's fun. You never know. Try it. It's fun. And Uncle Carlton wanted me to share this with you guys about hiring a musician. It's what I'm going to finish with tonight. So when you hire a musician, what you think you're paying for is someone to stand on stage and sing for a couple of hours. And a lot of people will say, hey, why do I have to pay a whole lot of money for just some guy to go on stage and sing for a couple of hours? Well, what you're actually paying for is this. It is someone to stand on stage for a couple of hours, but it's also equipment and instruments, hours of rehearsal time, the rehearsal space itself, transport to and from the venue, the amount of money spent on lessons and training to become the musician that they are, outfits for the event, promotion costs, website fees, GST to get to the text man, phone and internet bills, spending on organizing the gig and telling others, and then of course the manager fees, the agent fees, and not to mention the payment also has to cover the food, a roof over the musician's head, bills, a car, and all the other living expenses involved. So do you still think that you're paying too much to hire a musician? And I thought this was great. You know, I guess it's kind of growing up thinking budget wise, and always approaching that and approaching things like that, that can be beneficial, as pointed out to you. It's something that that can help you grow and learn aspects about yourself that you didn't know. And getting into these parts casters, these modular design guitars, has opened up a whole new world to me. So I'm glad about that. But we as musicians have to do these things sometimes because we got to pay bills on other things that we have to do. And we support each other in the ways that we can. And thank you for the super chat tonight. I don't ask for them, but when I get them, they mean a lot to me. I appreciate it. What I did try to do is put together that Asanoki album so that I could have, Uncle Carlton is in the know. He knows what he speaks, and that's why he puts that out there, because he as a musician, he's saying, hey, you guys don't want to pay me? You think you're paying me too much? Well, let's break it down. And something I want to keep in mind, because we have to do things on budget because we have to deal with these things. And it doesn't mean that we're sacrificing the quality of our sound. I think we've discussed that enough on this channel to prove that you can get a pro tone on a budget. I've listed hundreds of albums, not hundreds, I've listed dozens of albums that have been recorded using budget guitars on this channel in the past. But, it's just really about approaching this as a learning and a fun experience. But also realizing that there are, again, I point this out, there are a lot of people out there that are doing this and they're doing it on a shoestring. And or they live in a country where, again, some of these, even these $500 guitars are out of reach. I've been to those countries. I've seen those kind of things. And so something I want to always remind you guys at the end of every one of these live streams. I put together the Asanoki album in order to give you guys something of quality that I thought that I could ask you to also buy and support this album, support this channel by buying that album. We're moving into the Christmas season. If you want to get a gift or something for your friends or family, go over to Bandcamp, look up the Asanoki album, Ants in a Pantry, and buy yourself a copy or one of the singles. It really does help support this channel, and it's something that I put together that I think is of good quality so that you're getting good quality for your money. So, and again, ways that you can help support other YouTube channels and help them in the same ways as you can. But keep in mind that this is a budget channel. We talk about doing things on a budget, and we have no shame. We don't have to put Fender stickers on our Squiers. We're happy with them. We don't have to have the latest Fender Deluxe. We found a Fender Champ with a speaker swap in it that holds its own. It's in most solid states, I would say. And so we do things inexpensively and we pass that information on. And so thank you so much for taking the time tonight to listen in, listen to some of my tales of woe. It's unfortunate that happened, but again, I blame myself. But you guys made me feel better about it, so I do appreciate that as well. So thank you. I'm glad I shared that story with you. I could get a little commensuration with commensuration. Is that a word? Well, anyway, I had a group of people who could console me. And I do appreciate that. In any case, guys, that's it for this week. Coming up this week will be part 2. What we're going to do, once I get that ABY pedal in, I'll film that. We'll talk about budget amps. We're going to talk about that Fender Champ and that Laney. They both came out 10 years ago, and how talk about under $500, for under $400, under $200 in one case, under $400, under $400, $500 the other one, you can have 2 fantastic amps that will kick ass. So look forward to that. And listening to the glory of those 2 amps playing at the same time. I can't wait to hear it. I'll share that with you. I'm going to crank them up too. I'm not going to do my usual low volume stuff. I'm cranking them. And so we'll see how that sounds. And until the next one, God bless you guys. Have a good, safe week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.